5 o'clock. It's time to get started.
I'll get ready to walk away.
Beat that gavel, Chuck.
I have to do that twice today.
Man.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner Short, would you lead us in the invocation and pledge?
Please stand and join us. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to come and serve the citizens of our great county. Lord, I just ask that you give us wisdom tonight as we make decisions that will affect our county, Lord. I just ask that you bless our country and our state and our county. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. It's a nice meeting of the County Commission. We have numerous opportunities for you to speak tonight. If you want to speak, fill out a speaker's card and give it to Miss Patty. You can have 2 opportunities for citizens to be heard, and you can also speak on any item as it comes forward. So we have an agenda approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, citizens to be heard. I have John Lee. John Lee.
John, that's you.
That's you. Oh, you get to start it.
First, thank you very much for listening to my complaint, and I appreciate having people take a look. I know, Randy, you've seen my house. Chuck, you've seen my house. I am the only house directly on the lake. I was there before the public landing ever came into being, and I am now directly on the water because the lake levels have changed over the years from the filling that has gone on throughout the county and the area, and that's life. In the process, one area I'm not going to deal with today, I'm going to try to work with, again, Heather and David, if we can, is the problem that I am getting wakes directly on my foundation when the water is high. That did not happen in the past. My neighbors have been wonderful. We do not have anybody that I've spoken to coming by with a power boat close to my dock. 2 weeks ago, we had a couple of young kids with 25 horsepower probably, but I suspect it's larger than that, going by 5 feet away from my dock. Now, please understand, I've had my dock hit by a jet ski. I spent a day at a hospital with a wakeboarder who hit it, and I've been hit by a boat. So those things happen, and I'm liable when they hit my dock. You can say what you say. I've already had that from 2 attorneys, and I've already had it from my insurance company. I do not want to have that again. So I was surprised when we went with power motors again, because it happens. My main concern is it's taken me 27 years to get my wife retired and out of New York City and down here. And I've been working on it. And I think if you're happily married, you understand and believe that a happy wife is a happy life. If you don't, you're probably going to get divorced. I want my wife happy. My wife retired as an executive VP of a billion-dollar company with a budget that exceeds what you have here to deal with. She has never been treated at all in her career like she was a couple of weeks ago by a Mr. Chris Havens, who also is a Mr. Thomas C. Havens and a Mr. Tom Havens with assault and battery charges on him. Now, I sent you a note. As you can see that he was in 1 foot of water on our next to our house, which is, I meant to bring a tape measure because 11 feet away from our windows is where he was. And
We need to have it recorded, so.
11 feet away from our windows is where he was. And I don't know what we can do. My wife was talking to me, and I said, record it. So I sent you the recording. Others have heard the recording. I'm not going to bother to repeat it. Inappropriate, and he was there for 45 minutes. We have much worse on record. The sheriff's office has been, for the years I've been here, wonderful. I'm delighted to be a supporter. I believe it's a tremendous asset. Our school system's a tremendous asset.
Mr. Lee, you only get 3 minutes.
Okay, well,
wrap.
What can we do to, one, make sure that this does not happen again? Asking for some privacy should not be looked at as harassment, and blaming the victim is totally inappropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have no awards and presentations.
Move consent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. That takes us to general business.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is agenda item request board to select one member to the Tourist Development Council and approve the resolution appointing the selected member. Those two members are Robert Seidler. He represents owner-operator tourist accommodations that collects the bed tax. Michelle Laxton represents owner-operator tourist accommodations that collects the bed tax.
Motion to approve Michelle Laxton with all due respect to Robert Seidler. I know
Second.
Robert.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I do. I don't know her, and I don't have anything against her, but I'm concerned that she represents a state agency. We've got someone on the TDC that already represents a state agency. I personally would prefer someone who is part of the private industry that's collecting the bed tax.
Seidler's got lots of experience with
Yeah.
photojournalism and that type of marketing procedure, so he might be a real asset to TDC.
I understand that. This person for this position is, would you say it was associated with a running a hotel or something like that, was it? And
Well,
again, I
Wakulla.
love Robert Seidler. I've known him for many, many years. His qualifications is that he's had an Airbnb at his house. This other person runs Wakulla Springs Lodge. So to me, that's a little bit more experience, having an Airbnb at your house versus actually running Wakulla Springs Lodge. That's how I swayed mine. And nothing against Robert. I've known him for many years. He's a very nice guy, and I like him. But this woman's certainly more qualified as a owner-operator of a hotel facility. Isn't that what the qualification is?
Yeah.
Well,
But,
It
yeah,
has to be someone who collects the bed tax as well.
that's right.
Any other comments?
I didn't know Airbnb collected bed tax. Maybe they do.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
And that's part of the issue, that we've got a lot of Airbnb that's not collecting it because, we're having that conversation with the TDC. The Department of Revenue is the one that's charged with collecting that money or making sure that they're paying it. And so it's really almost, you have to opt into it, It's up to the person to follow the law unless someone turns them in and they're investigating. But he is one, and there are several. I think we have a pretty good compliance rate in our county.
And I appreciate your point, Ralph, about her being a state agency, but Wakulla Springs probably is one of the largest tourist draws in our county, I would say. So I think it's appropriate they be on there. But I'm just one person.
You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. 5-0.
I voted
Five
for
one.
it. I serve on the TDC. I don't want, I'm going to work with whoever's there.
Yeah, you don't want to vote against them. Okay.
Yes.
5-0.
Mr. Chairman, this next agenda item, Brandy, would you go up to the podium, please?
Is your ringer turned down?
This agenda item requests board approval of change order number 4 with Advon Corporation for the construction of Wakulla County Fire and EMS facility in the amount of $47,601.08. This is the final cleanup change order for this
Motion
project.
to approve.
Yes, and I just wanted to put this on general business. We have Scott Brooks from Advon with us tonight and recognize them for the fantastic job. They built us a beautiful facility. They have been excellent to work with, and I look forward to building something else with them again in the future. But this will be the last business that you see for the fire station.
Hopefully nothing falls down with the fire station.
Hopefully nothing falls down with the fire station.
And it came in under budget.
Came in under budget, less than a 6% increase in change orders from the beginning of the project to the end, which is fast. That's awesome in the
The stuff we
construction
wanted
industry.
to, right?
Yes, and it was all,
Roll up
for the
the
most
orders.
part, it was owner-initiated requests, so.
But also it
Very
took a
good.
good, strong team of Cody, Cody did fantastic, and Brandy also. Between those two, you don't want to come up with a change order against those two. So, but they did a fantastic job, and Cody especially really knocked it out of the ballpark.
Good looking facility.
Beautiful.
It is, even without a pole.
Or slide.
Or slide.
All right, any other discussion from the board?
Was there a second on that?
Yeah, I seconded that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Advon.
Now we have 2 public hearings.
Starburst.
Well, David, I think you're going to be talking about this one a lot, so you might as well introduce it.
Okay. I'll introduce it. This is a request of board approval to conduct a public hearing and consider approval of the purchase and sale agreement for the acquisition of property on Wooden Lake Road. The proposed property price is $395,000. It's going to be funded from the 1-cent sales tax fund if you decide to move forward. The purpose of this property acquisition is to realign the road, and David can give you more information on that.
To conduct the public hearing and approve the purchase and sale agreement for the property.
Second.
Dave, if you want to just...
Yes, we've worked with the owner and also with our engineer to develop a reroute of Wooden Lake Road to align with East Ivan Road. The purpose of this is, as you know, for future is the better we can realign intersections, the better it makes sense, the safer it is for our traveling public. So anyway, that's what this agenda item does. We've already begun much of the majority of the due diligence work is already complete. We have a little bit more to be done. We've already talked with FDOT concerning a traffic signal at that intersection. We have a handshake agreement so far with DOT on that, as we have discussed in our meetings. So we're far down the line, and this is a good project for our county to correct hopefully in the future this will correct a big problem intersection.
DOT was very friendly about
Yeah.
putting a light there. We met with Jared Purdue. And
Okay, we have citizen Eugene Watkins.
Eugene Watkins. I happen to use Wooden Lake Road to get out to 319, and this will be very beneficial for folks like me, and I'm sure for the people on East Ivan Road, because right now we get out there at 319, I'll look down there at East Ivan Road, and there's a driver down there, and we're both estimating how we can get out of there, so I hope y'all support this.
All right. I was a big advocate for this, so any other comments from the board?
whose idea was this? Your idea, wasn't it?
No, well, we've always thought about it, but actually Commissioner Hess, he was the one that kind of pushed us to go ahead and let's do something with Wooden Lake Road, and finally did it, so, yeah.
Good job, Eugene.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
The next item this evening is a request for the board to conduct the final public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending section 6-14 of the Land Development Code pertaining to off-street parking and loading regulations.
Motion to conduct the public hearing and adopt the ordinance, section 6-14 Land Development Code pertaining to off-street parking and loading.
Second.
We have no citizens to be heard.
I've read through it, and we talked briefly about some changes that I had an idea, and they just weren't practical, so.
Yeah, this is really in the weeds. So if you're not in the weeds, it's hard to understand it. So.
And I talked about church parking and so forth and so on and so. But she made a good point. I still think we had too much parking requirements, but she made a good point. At least in the Crawford Town Plan, we can reduce it up to 50%.
Correct.
Because, what we don't want is things like Winn-Dixie, where they just say, we got 10 acres, let's pay a 10-acre parking spot.
Right. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
The next item, sorry.
Planning and zoning.
The next item is a request for the board's approval to conduct the final public hearing and adopt a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment for CP 1808. This is a 139-acre parcel located north and west of Jean Drive and abutting the Wakulla Middle School. The request is from agriculture and rural 2 land use to a future land use designation of rural 2. This would increase the currently allowed density from 9 units to a maximum of 56 units on this property. Staff would like to move the staff report and comments and presentation presented at the January hearing into the record here this evening. And again, in January, the board voted to transmit this to the state.
That's it. Motion to approve.
Works for me.
Second.
So I have 2 citizens to be heard. John Schuff.
I've just put it
Only
in
need
case I needed to answer any questions.
Okay, Eugene Watkins.
Eugene Watkins, 35 Rough Cut Road, Crawfordville. I was just questioning, is this the same development that was going to do 1 house per 2 acres that we're going to do septic tanks on?
That's correct.
And those are not going to be the high efficiency tanks. And I'll just put it back out there to the board. We're going to add, how many houses is coming in here?
Up to 56.
How many?
Maximum of 56.
Okay, so we're adding 56 more septic tanks to the system that either one day in the future all the taxpayers or somebody's going to pay to change those to better septic tanks. And also I have to wonder again why the state's putting up $10,000 for citizens to go to higher efficiency tanks, and then we're just turning around right now and allowing 70 more to be put in that are non-higher efficiency. Just seems like we're wasting our money here somehow. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
John, you want to come up? So, anybody have any comments? Okay, John. I like a lot of this development. Okay, but I have a problem with the septic tank issue.
Okay.
Now, what happens is we're going to spend about $500,000 to do a facilities study for the county, and we'll discover where we can put sewer in the future and within the next time frame, and where we can't. And where we can't need to be on AWT tanks if we're going to clean up Wakulla Springs. And I think Wakulla Springs is a really important economic driver for our county. And I was wondering if I could get you to commit to, if your property ends up being outside the area where we can actually get sewer to it, you would commit to putting in AWT tanks.
I'd have to think about that, Chuck. Right now, it's not in the spring protection zone.
It's in the priority focus area 2.
And
It's not the current spring protection zone.
The part that we're developing that has no floodplain in it, has no karst features. If you wanted to pick out an area to develop and, on fairly high and definitely dry ground, this is it. And it is 1 unit per 2 acres, not, a 1 acre or a half-acre lot that would be overloading the property.
Okay. If you've read the B map, it shows that there's a priority focus area 1 and priority focus area 2. This parcel is in the priority focus area 2. And all the septic tanks in the priority focus area 1 and 2 have to be taken off the system within the next 15 years or so. Okay. And so if you're putting in a septic tank in that area today, we're going to have to take that out in the next 15 years, either to sewer or to an AWT tank.
Within 15 years, is the septic tanks typically fail anyway and need to be replaced.
Not in well-perked soil. 15 years is nothing for a well-perked soil with a septic tank. So that's not, it's not something you're going to have to replace on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that has to be done if we're going to clean up Wakulla Springs, and I'm just asking you if you would commit to do that.
I wouldn't. That's up to you.
While you're thinking about that, I have a crazy question for anybody that can answer this for me. Is the homeowner still responsible for paying for the septic tank when they purchase the property or build a home?
They will be,
So
yes.
they would also be
Yeah, we would not be
responsible
putting in the sewer. We're going to put in a water system, and we're going to pave the roads.
Okay.
And then that would be a choice of the homeowners, what type of septic tank system they wanted to put in.
It is in the primary focus area too, but is it in the Wakulla Springs special planning area?
It is not.
That's different than the
I know.
BMAP priority
I know.
focus area. Okay, the priority focus area is the ones that, where the tanks have to be taken out in this time period.
Primary
And so-
primary
and I'm-
focus
and
area
I'm-
1 roughly mirrors our Springs Protection Zone.
Right.
The primary focus 2 was the one that was added on because it was discovered about the Spring Creek.
The Spring Creek connection and
Yeah, I
how all that
understand.
water's flowing.
I understand.
Okay. And so, it's one of the areas that we need to remove the septic tanks. And I'm just, this seems like a really good place for us to put sewer. So that's why I'm saying, if he'll commit, if he comes out and needs sewer, this is fine.
Well, one of the problems with sewer out there is you got, it's not, access to the property is there, and it's usable, and we did traffic study for what they're worth. But if you were to want to consider sewer for that area, then to make it economically feasible, you need to get down into half-acre lots. And then you've got a transportation problem.
I'm not asking.
It's just sewer, when you start spreading it out over that much distance, becomes extremely expensive. It's worth more than the land.
Well, I understand that.
So it's just at some
The
point
only
you kind of
thing
get into a place where you don't want to be.
Yeah, right now we have that's why I say these are probably going to have to go to AWT tanks. And so that's why I was trying to get you to commit to doing it, because I think that's what they need to be on. So,
Yeah.
all right?
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? So, all in favor?
Aye.
You vote yes. It passes 4-1. All right. Now I need to bring forward the agenda for my agenda item.
Motion to appoint Quincy Messerschmidt to the position. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we have a position on the capital area community action.
You used to have an open
We used
position.
to have an opening, and now we have a proposal.
Excellent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It passes 4-0.
5-0.
5-0.
5-0.
All right.
We're out. You gotta be.
What?
You gotta
Vote if you're going to be on the team.
take one for the team.
No, I just did this when you were campus.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so that's.
I do enough-
We're gonna revisit that. You
I do
what?
enough committees.
You do what?
Got CRTPA, Regional Planning Council.
All right.
Awesome.
Next to the county attorney.
Nothing today except for, I should have warned you about that, sorry.
I had a sneaky feeling when I read all of the things that we do.
County administrator.
Not really anything at this point in time.
All right.
Good from his surgery. Yes, tell us about that.
Yep, it was surgery, so I'm healed and ready to go back to work
He
now.
laid out a very large contingency plan in case he didn't come through.
That's
all
right.
Good.
But I did catch up on Game of Thrones, so.
So I wanted to, Dave, would you talk about Wildwood Drive and tell us about that? I had a lot of comments to me this weekend about this. And so-
Wildwood Drive, I've initiated approved the task order, or whatever Brandy calls it nowadays, work authorization for the survey work and as well as for engineering, and that's well underway. So what we're hoping to do is have a project ready to go there so that we can bid it out or piggyback, hopefully this summer. To pave, resurface Wildwood, put a sidewalk down all the way from the middle school to our existing bike trail, and also extend sewer.
I thought that was Wildcat.
No,
it is
Also,
Wildwood.
yeah, also extend sewer to the middle school down Wildwood, so that way we can, in the future, we can serve that neighborhood, but also get the sewer plant
They're still on a
offline.
package plan, right?
That's right.
And they do percolation ponds. There's your septic tanks, Chuck. That's 5,000 of them right there.
Yeah, so, that's the total,
It's a big
that's this
thing.
project. It's a
Good project.
It's a multifaceted project, so. And like I say, we hope to build it this summer if we can possibly get the engineering done, Trevor. All right.
There's been a survey done of that road, by the way, because when we did the turn lane for the school, that was a grant project for the turn lanes coming out. So
Yeah,
Wade has-
we've got
Wade
Wade.
has a survey.
Wade's doing all the stuff for us, yeah.
What happened with the Luke Smith Road with the homeowners?
Nanette and Mike and I were able to shake that deal to where we could get a deal, so we got a deal this afternoon.
That's
That was a
really
site
big for the
triangle?
site, yeah, the site distance for Luke Smith.
But that's all I'm gonna say about it, so it had to do the takeaway. It worked.
Good deal.
All right. Any more citizens to be heard? All right, discussion items by commissioners.
Mike, did you ever, those two septic tanks you was asking me about, you said you were gonna take 2 off with that grant program or whatever, did you?
I called the plumber, one of the, and they explained the whole process to me. And the one thing that bothered me is that whoever gets off of, is planning on getting off the septic tank has to put some upfront money as like a deposit, if you will. They get that back, but it's like $1,500, I think it was. So, and then when the state reimburses the plumbing company for doing the work, then you get your money back, provided there was no other issues with your septic system.
But my point of all this is that, I guess Mike took to heart my cheap statement about if you need a drain field, this is a good way to get it done. So I suspect a lot of people are gonna go to performance-based simply because of that.
And this lady told me that from the company, that they were covered up with people wanting to do it. And it is, that's the ideal time to do it, is when if you're close to the thing going out, or you got drain field issues, that's the time to do it, is now.
And the best way to do it, actually, to keep the maintenance low in the future, if you can keep your old tank and just put this performance base after it, and then do a new drain field, that's even better. I think that's what I told
But you get that $1,500, let me make that clear, you get that back eventually.
So there's nothing out of pocket that's gonna cost you.
It shouldn't be any cost to you, as
That's
long
easy.
as,
Okay.
as long as it doesn't exceed that 10,000. Now, it could if they get there and your drain field's really bad shape, or they have to put in additional
Mound
drain
system or
field or
something like
whatever, then yes, you could.
If you have a mound system, you wouldn't be in the right area. If you have a mound system, you don't perk, so you wouldn't be in the right area to have
I mean,
this.
tons of people have mound systems
Yeah.
on performance base.
But the contractor does all the paperwork for you.
Bet you
They
$100.
do all the permitting, they do pretty much the whole, and I mean, that's what you're paying for, is the permit up front, and then you get that money
So it's
back.
good incentive for people to,
Yes.
Anybody that's even thinking about their septic system going bad in the next few years, there's a grant program that will replace it for free and upgrade it. And to me, it's worth the it costs you $200 or $300 a year, whatever the cost is for maintenance, but you get a free performance-based septic system.
I agree.
So are they all going to performance, or is anyone implementing this
I've
new
heard
nitrogen reducing?
I've heard one person doing the nitrogen reducing thing. I haven't actually seen it, but, I'd be if somebody could perfect that, they would
There was
be covered
one,
up. with work.
according to the folks we met with at the Department of Health, there was one put in Leon County recently. But that's it.
But if somebody could corner that,
Was
they
five.
could, they put more of these in than they could ever do.
Yeah, and that's what we need to be encouraging. But I was thinking, there's a lot of people that don't have the funds to put up $1,700,
Mhm.
and we might think about developing a program where we advance the funds as a lien on their taxes or something to that effect, such that, we make sure we get our money back, but it's just, cycling a pot of money that we can make this happen for the people that don't have that kind of money.
I don't know how hard that would be to do. I'm not necessarily adverse to that, Chuck, as long as we don't
Well, I'm not,
get our money back.
that's the whole idea. And, they have to go through the steps. We'd have to make sure that they were going to get our money back. But there's a lot of people that
They'd
have
have
the
to
system.
qualify.
Why don't we wait and to see if we have a problem first, and then let's deal with it then? Because that's a whole nother program, just like our other programs. We've got to qualify. I mean, Yeah, let's
Not
let's
adverse
try to
to
keep
it.
this simple first.
And I'm guessing the plumber just wants to make sure they've got some skin in the
That's
game so
right.
they don't walk away from it.
Well, what she told me was that, and it made sense when she explained it, she says, we're up front in the money for
Carrying,
the
yeah.
permits. And then we're having to run the risk that the state's not going to approve it.
Right.
And so if this, she said, there's probably no reason why they wouldn't, but they could say, no, we're not permitting that
Well,
person. And then they're out that $1,500.
And that's also, they're carrying the cost of labor and all that
And
stuff.
but they give that back to you. Now, if the state were to say, no, we're not going to permit Mike Stewart or whoever, then I'm out $1,500 for some permits that are useless to me.
Right.
So
It's just,
that's the risk you run, but it's a small risk, and the state's not likely to turn them down because they're wanting to get everybody off.
they want to get everybody off, so.
I guess my root point of that whole thing is, I think a lot of these septic tanks will be coming offline because of this program. Now, the other thing, I'd like to, I know this is not agended, but we really need to revise our site triangle criteria. Bad. Right now, it's just 25 feet, doesn't have any teeth to it, and it's not realistic. So I'd like to make a motion that we direct Summers over there to get with her husband, maybe, and, because he and I talked about this a few years ago.
Quite a few
and
years ago.
Come up with a better way to do our site triangle. Then we'll have a legally enforceable thing to, where we can make people trim the road back so people at stop sign can see if somebody's coming.
Would that apply retroactively or for new development?
Apply to everything.
Apply to everybody.
Had to see. We do need it. There's no doubt. Just had to see how that
Discuss
looks. I
that.
mean,
This is
that would, wouldn't that become a taking at some point, particularly?
We'd have to look at that issue. I mean, we're not taking their property, we're just,
You can have stuff up to 3
They have
feet
to have
high.
Usage.
yeah, we're regulating basically height of vegetation and things like that can be in that specific area. And most likely, it's within a setback I would think.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
but
this
we'd have to
probably
look at
wouldn't
that.
apply to roads that already have right-of-way, like you don't want to go on the farm and tell somebody to take down their privacy fence. Because if you got 60-foot of right-of-way coming both ways, you got plenty of sight distance either way.
Well, there's definitely a need for it. I don't, that place at Songbird there, it's better, but it's still not ideal. You gotta still ease out into traffic there.
We're not going to solve all the problems, but
And
anyway,
it
that's my
meets
motion.
standard now of our current ordinance.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
It's still not good enough.
Because it's only 25, is that?
Correct.
I'll second the motion.
It has to be unanimous, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got 5-0.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Just good job to Sop Choppy this weekend. They had a great turnout, beautiful weather, and great event at the Worm Grunting Festival.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Plenty of parking?
Yeah.
Sop Choppy comes through again.
Where's they parking at, the city park?
All over.
All over the place.
You should have come.
I've never been.
You should have been there.
You should have been there, Randy.
I've heard it's a nice place. I've never been there.
Commissioner Messerschmidt, you have anything?
Good job to Panacea Waterfronts and the egg drop this weekend. That was a lot of fun.
Commissioner Messerschmidt, please.
Good job. Can you hear that, Dave?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Good job to Panacea Waterfronts when they put on the egg drop this weekend. That was fun.
Commissioner Stewart.
I didn't go hunting.
You didn't go to egg drop or worm grunting? What'd you do this weekend? Never mind. Don't
Works
even.
at the house.
Ready?
I was at the
Motion
Worm Grunting
adjourned.
all day. No, we're adjourned.
You were at worm grunting all day.
Yep.
You drank so much coffee you couldn't go to sleep.
What? I mean, I just absolutely love that. Why